What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mood616 here, and I'm finally back with another Best of the Blind Buys video. I know it's been like months since I've done one of these. Didn't forget about it. I just don't have that much time, as I usually say in these videos as my excuse. Yes, so if you've never watched one of these videos before, basically what this is pretty self-explanatory. I usually pick 5 films that were mostly blind buys, and if I really enjoyed them, I just showcase them in this series. Right away, I'm kind of cheating with my first one because this one was actually sent to me by my man Brandon. Of course, he's 1/3 of the Exploding Heads horror podcast. He's been on my show a couple times too, but he actually sent this one over. We reviewed this on the podcast also, but for the people that don't listen to the podcast and stuff, might as well talk about it on here. And yeah, so the first film right here is from 2011, and it's, directed by Jamu Balagura. Yeah, didn't nail it, but you're probably familiar with the name because he directed Rec 1 and 2. I think he also directed Rec 4. But he also directed a film from 1999 called The Nameless, which is just a fantastic film. Now, this movie right here, Sleep Tight, the one in question here, from 2000, actually it's from 2012, what am I talking about? But basically what this movie is about this guy named Caesar. Now Caesar is like a doorman in this very plush apartment building, and Caesar has a little bit of skeletons in his closet, and he's also a very miserable dude. And he wants everybody else around him to be miserable also, because, especially in this building where everyone seems to be in a good mood all the time. So, fast forward a little bit, he starts to pick on this one girl. She's like a really good looking cheerleader, I think. And he starts to basically just do all this mischievous and ridiculous shit to her, making her life a living hell. And yeah, it just kind of spirals out of control from there. This is a very, very well-made film. It's executed perfectly. I think the characters are awesome. Caesar's just he's such a menacing, and he's one of those characters that you just love to hate so much. You understand a little bit why he's doing these things, but at the same time, he's making everybody so miserable. He's kind of two-faced, like he doesn't show it in public, but he is very menacing, which I really like about the character. But the pacing of the film is fantastic. It's got a really nice build-up, and it's got a really decent, or not a decent, but it's got a really amazing payoff in the end of it too. Yeah, just a really well executed Spanish film. If you've never seen Sleep Tight, give this one a shot, man. Full-length reviews on the podcast. I believe that actually Jeremy was on the show too with, of course, JP. But I highly recommend this one. This is a really great director. Kind of one of those directors that doesn't get really mentioned a whole lot. He has, in my opinion, 4 really amazing films. And I think that's most of his full-length films. I know he's done a lot of shorts and stuff, but definitely give this one a shot. Sleep Tight. It's really fucking good, man. It's a really good film. So give that one a shot. Next up here from 1962 is a film called Burn, Witch, Burn. This one right here is actually the screenplay is written by Richard Matheson and Charles Beaumont, of course, from Twilight Zone fame. Among things, we all know them from many things that they've done in their career. And starring, Norman Taylor from The Innocents, which is very cool too. So Norman Taylor basically plays a university professor, and he's having a really good string of luck. His job is going the way exactly it should be going, maybe a little too good. And he's a very skeptical person. He's very skeptical of like the dark arts, the witchcraft and all those type of things. He doesn't really believe in it. He doesn't believe in luck and things like that. He believes in hard work and, getting where you have gotten by doing the right things. But then, of course, he discovers that his wife has been practicing witchcraft and may have had an influence on his success. So one day he gets super pissed off because he's super skeptical and he wants to prove to her that what she's been doing, with this witchcraft and stuff, isn't affecting how his, life has turned out. So he wrecks everything of hers. Then, of course, his life starts to go to shit. And then you get this pretty crazy third act. And, in this supernatural horror thriller film. This is a very cool film. Very good acting, good cinematography, cool story. Of course, what do you expect when you have, Richard Matheson and Charles Beaumont doing the screenplay or the story in this film? Basically, this one is kind of like a full-length Twilight Zone episode, if I ever had to sum it up in a couple words. It plays out just like that. It's very cool, very awesome film, man. I couldn't recommend this one enough. I don't really want to give too much away, but this is a fantastic film that everyone really needs to see. I've talked about this one a few times, I believe, like on Top 10 Tuesdays and things, but showcasing on this series, so give it a shot. Burn Witch Burn. If you like witchcraft films and kind of supernatural type things, if the black and white scares you away, come back. It's just a black and white film. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, check it out. Very cool stuff. So, Burn Witch Burn. Third film here that I picked out is a film from 2002, and I actually talked about this one on the podcast, or on the 2002 show that we did. Oddly enough, I didn't even realize that, but it's a Korean film, and it's called Phone. Now, this one right here is basically about this investigative reporter named as Ji-won. She has just published like a series of articles on, the very taboo subject of sex scandals and things like that. And, soon after she publishes all these things, she starts getting all these phone calls, these kind of like weird phone calls, and she kind of throws it off like nothing's happening. She's like, well, they're obviously related to the sex scandals and people are pissed off at her. So she keeps getting all these. She kind of changes her phone number. And one day she's out with her friend, and her phone rings, and her friend has a daughter. Now the little daughter answers the phone and instantly starts acting like super fucking weird and crazy, and all these crazy things start happening to her. And then all of a sudden bodies start mounting up around her, and all these other weird supernatural things that you can't explain start happening, and which all leads up into a really crazy third act. Now, this film right here is very interesting because, I think a lot of people I've heard even say in the past that it felt like it was kind of slow in times. I don't think so at all. I think it has a really good build-up, a really good story. It's intriguing because you don't really know where it's going. It could go a million places. It doesn't give you a lot of, kind of foreshadowing things in it and stuff. There's nothing really that's given away from it, but it's also there when you kind of think about it at the end too. I think it's a very well executed film. I think the cinematography, I think the third act is just nuts in this. I think it's awesome. Really enjoyed this one. It's one of these Asian films I don't really hear a lot of people talk about. I was very happy that I had to pick this up for the 2002 show, because otherwise it would have been one that I probably picked up and never watched in my collection. But I did, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's really good, man. It's got a lot of creepy moments, a lot of weird things, of course, with kids, and just oddball, things that, the Asians do, especially these Koreans, that make really good, supernatural horror type, these type of films. So check out Foam. Really cool stuff. Awesome. Next up here is a film from 1988, and one that I really never hear many people talk about. I know this one doesn't have a Region 1 release. This is a Region 2 DVD, and it's called Paper House. Now, I've done a full-length review of this, I believe, in my 31 Days of Horror last year. But it's still a film I don't really hear many people talk about. Basically, this one is about a girl named Anna who is having lots of problems, not only at home but at school. She just feels like everything is going wrong in her life. Anyways, one day she draws this picture of a house, and soon after she draws the picture of a house, she starts having this reoccurring dream of that house. She soon learns that she can manipulate her dreams by adding to that photo. So she starts to draw certain things, and it starts happening in her dreams, and it starts going on and on and on. She starts manipulating it to the point where she doesn't even know the difference between reality and her dreams and things like that. Soon she meets a boy in there, and then things just kind of go real crazy. And basically what it comes down to is that you actually start to question the film yourself. Is this real, or is this in her dreams and things like that? It's a very well executed fantasy thriller with horror elements and things like that. It's not necessarily a full-blown horror film, but it's a thrill. It's a very interesting idea. It's very fresh and unique, with really good acting, very cool set pieces. It's got a creep value, or factor to it too, which adds into the value of this film a lot, because it's one of those ones that you just can't stop thinking about, even for days after you watch it. I like these fantasy horror films. They don't really make a whole lot of these, but it's very well done. Most of the film is basically a couple kids acting out and stuff, and there's a lot of creepy shit. Like I said, it's very interesting. Very cool cinematography. Directed by Bernard Rose. Now, Bernard Rose is most famous for directing Candyman of all films. So he did this one about 3 years before, and you can kind of see the contrast between the films. This is definitely like a prelude to Candyman. big time. It's got that kind of whole fantasy, supernatural type thing going on in this one. Candyman being a completely different film, and obviously a little more explicit than this film. But check out Paper House, man, if you can find it on VHS, or even if you have an all-region player, you can check this out on DVD. But I highly recommend Paper House. It's fantastic. And finally, for this episode here, a film from, I want to say 2012, and it is called Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. Now, this is a really cool film, man. This one is actually starring, of course, it's got Reggie Bannister in it. Now, Reggie Bannister was actually an executive producer on this film, and not only did he star and executive produce the film, he actually did the music for it also, which is very cool. Tim Sullivan, the famous Tim Sullivan, he plays the killer in the film. He plays the nun, which is pretty cool. It's got, Ron Jeremy is God in this film. Of course, Ron Jeremy plays God. This one also has effects by Marcus Koch. I believe the credits say that he was just a supervisor on this, but the effects are really good. I'm assuming that he's part of a company called Autopsy Effects. I'm assuming so, or something like that. I'm not really 100% sure, but yeah. But anyways, Bloody Bloody Bible Camp is basically just about, this Reggie Bannister plays a priest who takes out this Bible group to this camp, even though they know that there was some murders that happened like 7 years before. Of course, upon their arrival, they start getting picked off one by one by, yes, you guessed it, by this crazy nun. But the thing that's really cool about this film, it's got a very generic premise to it, is the opening credits. Now, the opening credits in this film are just fantastic. They're very creative and very cool. It tells the backstory in the opening credits, and the way they did it is just fantastic. Really cool effects. It drew me into the film right away. This one right here does have a lot of cliche characters and stuff, but they really do work for this film in general, because it's very goofy. It's got a very stupid premise to it, but it's got of course the fat guy that's just stupid as hell in this film. Like, everything he says is just ridiculous, but it's a very politically incorrect film. It's got a lot of bathroom humor in it, and in moments where you shake your head but you're laughing at the same time. It's got a shitload of those, but they're actually funny. So if you like that kind of fart and dick humor and things like that, and politically incorrect jokes, this one's definitely for you. Mixed in with practical effects, a lot of gore, and it's just a fun film, man. There's nothing better than having a nun killer. I mean, it's on the point of like nunsploitation at this point right here. But yeah, Bloody Bloody Bible Camp, couldn't recommend the slasher enough. Now, I know this one's getting a lot harder to find these days, which is unfortunate, because this is one that really everybody needs to see. If you're big into slashers like I am, this is one that you have to have in your collection, hands down. It's just a fun ride. Reggie Bannister just is so fucking funny in this film, man. There are so many funny parts in this film that it's just, it makes me want to watch it right now. But, yeah. So Bloody Bloody Bible Camp, check it out. Fucking awesome. Do a quick little recap here. The 2012 Sleep Tight from Dark Sky Films. This is really fantastic, guys. Give this one a shot. It's just a bona fide, 9.5 out of 10, or 10 out of 10. It's up there, man. It's a really, really well-made film. Sleep Tight, 1962's Burn Witch Burn. Give this one a shot. Awesome witch film. Really cool stuff. Then we had Phone, the Asian film from 2002. Again, supernatural elements. Very creepy. Very fun film. Then we had Paper House from 1988, fantasy horror. I think this movie is just one of those underrated gems that it's just too bad it doesn't have a release here in Region 1, so more people could actually see it. Hopefully the people in Region 2 and other countries that have releases of this have seen this, because it's fantastic. And lastly, of course, but not least, Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. Ridiculous, fucking toilet humor, fun shit. Give it a shot. Awesome stuff. So yes, that is going to conclude episode 10 here on my Best of the Blind Buy series. I am hoping to do many, many more of these. I have a couple more lists already done. I just have to find the time. I just felt motivated to do this tonight, so I picked out the films and did it. But yeah, I'll check you guys later in episode 11. And as always, man, peace out, homies. Yeah.